be talking about my version of Marauders in podcast form without Emma again. She's yet again on vacation because freaking Emma goes on vacation. But we have two guests today.
Yeah.
And Snuffles again, who just really wanted to join the party. They're both going to introduce themselves with name, pronouns, and Hogwarts house. So, who wants to go first?
Bailey.
Okay.
I'm Bailey.
Whoa.
Whoa, no way. She, her. And I'm a Hufflepuff.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Vibes.
I'm Riley. She, her. I'm a Gryffindor.
Oh, okay.
Really?
I thought you would be a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but I see it.
I
see
yeah,
it for
a little
sure.
bit.
Caroline called me James the other day. She was like, "You are James."
That's accurate.
I'm like, yeah.
That is accurate. You're correct. We got some fun and funky questions.
Yay.
That the fans asked.
That's a lot.
Oh, there's so many.
Okay.
We're gonna have to go through. You really enjoy my dog, don't you?
I think you should read mine.
Oh no. Where is it?
I think I was at the beginning.
I'm out. So Riley asked, why does Bailey suck so much? And I don't need this hostility
Right?
on my
thought we were
podcast.
besties.
Oh no.
No!
I don't know. Somebody just said the most awkward situation.
Oh. Ooh.
Like ever? Like in
Yeah.
life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like yours.
Do you want to know my most awkward situation?
Yes, I do want to
See,
know.
I told Bailey about this.
Okay.
But, so I had a dream the other night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say, our principal, not going to say his name, so you don't have to edit it out.
Thank you.
He was standing over my bed, watching me sleep, and was singing Lost in the Woods from Frozen 2. I woke up at 4
Oh my
o'clock.
God.
I woke up at 4 o'clock. I couldn't go back to sleep.
I wouldn't be able to.
It was terrifying.
I don't know. As I'm scrolling through, y'all can choose
Okay.
one.
She just buried her head in the crevice of my arm.
She does that.
Favorite One Direction member?
Okay.
Niall.
I was a Niall person for a long time, but now Harry. He
fair.
just comfort.
That's fair. I never liked One Direction ever, but also Zayn.
I never really loved.
I was like trying to be. I don't know. I only liked One Direction because Brie was obsessed with it, and so like I just, I don't know. I tried.
Right.
Oh, you can tell her to not, but if you're okay,
it's
then
like
you're
a
okay.
hug.
Yeah, that's what she does.
Aww. Hi.
It's like she's doing her job.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like she's trying to provide emotional support. Oh. Oh, goodness. Oh, girly. Okay.
Deletes all the footage.
Okay, we're just gonna... Yo! Okay, this is fine. This is
cute.
fine. This is cute. If you're not watching on YouTube, do it. Because this is worth it. Because you just have to see the dog situation at this moment in time.
Unless you're
Oh my
driving,
gosh, no.
we do not condone watching this podcast.
Okay, so
I do not
the same
condone.
person who asked favorite One Direction member gave a good one, and I think Riley should answer it.
Okay.
It's assign a One Direction member to all of the Marauders, including Regulus.
Wait,
So like
say that
that's
one
the
more
fifth
time.
member. Assign a One Direction member to all of the Marauders, including Regulus.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that Regulus has to be Zayn because like
Yeah.
Zayn left, and so like and he's not really a part, so I feel like that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Marlene gives me Niall energy.
I think they just meant
Because they're completely different.
I think then it would be Sirius Nile energy.
Yeah.
Sirius is Nile energy.
Marlene likes Niall for like no reason.
Yeah,
Like
and
shouldn't love Niall, but does.
So and then James is Harry.
Of course.
Remus.
Liam.
That's accurate. And then Peter.
Peter doesn't deserve Lily though.
That's true. I love how she's
Peter gets Simon.
Peter is Simon?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we snoring? She's not even asleep. She just
Her name's
snores
Snuffles.
sometimes.
She's
I know.
snuffling.
I know it's what she does. That's why I named her that, but... Hi, this is me editing in the future, and I feel like now is a good time to mention that Snuffles continues to snore the entire time, and I'm very sorry. I didn't really realize it, and I'm sure it'll just be so annoying, and I'm just so sorry. but there's literally nothing I can do. And if you think you're hearing it right now, it's because you are. She always snores, and there's nothing anyone can do. Someone said the Marauders are Ratatouille.
Ratatouille, for sure.
What about you? Marauders or Ratatouille?
Ooh. Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. I agree.
It's a piece of art.
Somebody else wants the sexiest and least sexy name. Least sexy name. Name of ex-boyfriend.
I was gonna say Nathaniel, but that works too.
No.
So let's only go with least sexy names. Let's just go down the line.
I mean, Elizabeth kind of sucks.
Thanks. I was gonna
thrown
say
it back in my face.
okay. Riley is also a I'm kidding.
Jeez.
No, but I think that I don't know, like Florence.
No, it's not a good name. Like Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh is sexy.
But Florence
But
Pugh is
her
sexy, but her
name
name
is
is just
not it.
not.
I like
Her name is not
yeah.
it.
See,
People are
I
gonna
don't,
be like,
I don't
what is
find
happening in the
Andrew.
audience?
I don't find Andrew a sexy name, but let's
Andrew
disregard
Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. Literally, Riley is currently wearing earrings that say Andrew Garfield.
That I made
It's kind of fun.
yesterday.
Yes. Of course you made them. Okay, so somebody asked, how do you both know me?
School. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Have I known Elizabeth longer?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. Because
I knew Elizabeth
you knew
in
me in middle
middle
school.
school.
Yeah.
Actually, I met you at that play that one time.
Oh
So-
yeah. So technically, okay. So
Let's
I used to do theater when I was a youngin. Like at like our at our locations, like local theater, like our city. And so like schools would go and see those performances. And so, did you just come and see it? You didn't see it with the
My
school?
grandparents would always take me to all of those.
Heck yeah, mine
Yeah.
did too, except for when I was in them.
sense.
But
When your grandparents just came.
no, yeah. But then so Bailey came and saw me when I was like, I was probably 9, 10
Oh, dang.
at that moment in
Yeah,
time.
I'd say like 4th grade.
Yeah, and so that's pretty fun and funky if I've ever did see it.
But-
And
but
she got my signature.
I did.
With my old name that I do not use anymore.
Yeah.
Which is just very embarrassing. But you knew me in middle school because we did a play together.
Yes.
So we both knew each
And
other
I
from
was a
playthings.
very obsessive 6th grader that was like besties with all the 8th graders. At least I thought I was. Like, I was like, we did Willy Wonka. It was a great time.
It was an
And I thought I was
interesting
so
time.
cool because I was like one of the 2 6th graders. I was a candy kid. And I just like got to
Yeah.
hang out with John every day. And I was like,
Aw, wow.
I'm just so cool.
You were cool. You are cool.
Why, thank you.
Don't let anybody take that away from you, okay? Yeah, so that's how they know both of me, both through random theater things, which is kind of fun. But Riley
I'm scared.
figured out, actually, let's back up a second, and then I promise we'll actually, like, get into the episode. When I first started making TikToks, which, by the way, a lot of people who follow my podcast do not follow my TikTok, which is, like, where this all began. Like, you should go there. So when I started doing that, I didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew I was a Marauders fan. This was not something I talked about, like, ever. And then one person, and I was, like, terrified that anybody who actually knew me in real life would find it. And then Riley found it.
Elizabeth came into my vocal class last year when I was like a freshman only class, and I was like,
Yeah.
you,
I know.
I know you,
And I was like,
I know your secret.
I was like, girl, shut up.
I didn't tell anyone
I know. Riley.
because I wasn't sure because
But it
your
was.
hair had miraculously grown like 3 feet.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, here's the thing. Because, I saw when you, like, first were liking things. And I was like, that better not be the girl that I knew in middle school. Like, I know that that's not it. I was like, no way that's the same person. But then, and so then when I came in and I saw you and then you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, it is the same person. And it, like, freaked me out. But yeah, no, so you knew before anybody. You followed me when I had, like, probably less than 1,000 followers, right? It was insane. Like, I don't know. Nobody else
I was
found
deep
it.
on Harry Potter TikTok,
Yeah, you.
like unhealthily.
Yeah. But that's okay, because aren't we all? Riley has been here for a long time.
I've been through teachers interrogating Elizabeth about.
Oh yeah, I remember that. One time, last year, Riley had a teacher, and, Riley, and I knew this teacher very well. And so this teacher, was like, had seen something, and it was like me celebrating, like, 10K or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
Jeez, Elizabeth, you were at 10K. What a loser.
Oh my gosh. But I was celebrating 10K, and then and it was in the school parking lot, and he was like, girl, what were you doing in the school parking lot? And I thought for some reason that Riley had just told him, and I started yelling at Riley.
Well, yeah, because he goes,
he
goes, are you famous for some reason?
And I was like, why would you know that? And then also I was like, guess what it's about? And he said Harry Potter. And like out of nowhere.
I was standing there terrified because I was really scared I had said something in class.
I was like, how would you know this? And apparently he just guessed the entire thing because it's Mr. Davis.
Oh.
And of course he guessed that. But
I'm surprised that he doesn't listen to these podcasts.
He might. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised. Hi, Mr. Davis, if this is, he's such a great teacher. Love that man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now do we want to dive in to the thing? So I always say like a weird let's go in type of thing. Let's
moonwalk into this.
Let's moonwalk into this, Jank. Okay, let's go. All right, so let's talk about some things for you to know.
Okay, cool.
Remus and Sirius dating.
Okay.
Very fruity.
Cool.
Very fruity. Okay. Very secret.
Oh, okay.
Lily just found out though.
Ooh.
So, but it's like keeping it, on the DL or whatever.
Okay.
Lily's kind of going out with this guy named Bradley.
That's a
We're
great
not sure.
name.
I know.
We're not
sure how we feel
I
about
mentally
this man.
vowed to Emma that I'm gonna pretend everyone's Brad just to keep up that.
Lily knows about them, but they don't really talk about it, and so they're all in this group together. But she's like, I'm just gonna let them do their own thing. So there's a Hogsmeade weekend. Do you know what Hogsmeade weekends are? It's where they go into the village.
Yes.
And stuff like this.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay. So they're in the village. Things are so much fun. Sirius and James aren't banned anymore from the village because I don't know, guys. I feel like it. Okay. So they're in a Hogsmeade weekend. And they're all just vibing, and so it's like the group of like 6th-year boys and then 7th-year girls, and they're all hanging out. And then Remus and Sirius manage to like sneak off under the cover of like, oh, we're getting Christmas presents for like other people in the group, And so it's like we gotta go, just us though, no one else, They're very casual for sure. It's a good thing everybody else is very clueless. But anyway, so they go off and they're like in some sort of like Christmas shop pop-up thing that they've never seen before, and it's just really weird. And they find, I just needed to include this, have y'all seen those like disgustingly romantic Christmas cards?
Yeah, they're a little funny.
The ones, oh my gosh, they're just the worst things ever. But yeah, they're not a lovey-dovey couple. That's not their vibe. I don't know, Riley, I don't know how you feel about that. But I don't see them as like overly affectionate or anything like that.
I think that at the beginning, Sirius definitely tried. But like it got to the point where he's like, what am I doing?
Yeah, he's like, I don't even like
why
this.
am I doing this?
Here? Oh my gosh. But I just think that they're both just like very chill and they prefer to show things in different ways. And so them finding these like the worst cards ever, they're just losing their minds. And like, they find these cards and it's like, oh, I just think of your love to keep me warm this winter and like stuff like that. It's like the only present I need is a key to your heart. I look these up. These are real things that are on real cards. And I'm like, that's disgusting. I don't need that in my life.
I'm giving you this mug so you can have a cup of cheer every time you think of me.
Yeah, so they're just going through and they're just laughing their little heads off because they're like, these are stupid. And then Remus picks up a card that says, you're the reason I'm on the naughty list when you open it up. And then he like just puts it down. He's like, nope. And then Sirius picks it up.
We don't need to.
And then Sirius picks it up and he's like, no, we're getting this. I'm getting this for you. This is your Christmas card now. And he's like, I don't need this in my life. This is not okay.
I think they should give that to Peter. Then Peter can give it to one of his like side chicks.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so Remus is not having a good time, but then he finds like a really cheesy picture of a dog and it says pa la 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 la.
Just keeps going.
And he just gets it, and then they're like, they're having a good time. I just needed a cute little moment for them. So yeah. So next scene. Everybody goes to lunch at the Three Broomsticks. Everybody's having a great time. Marlene and Peter apparently also split off to do some shopping. and she is just roasting this man because, like, his current side chick.
I'm so glad.
Like, whatever, he was like, I'm gonna get her a present, and Marlene's like, okay. And then she's like, what are you gonna get him? And he's like, I don't know, I think a nice scarf would be good. And she's like, who are you, man? And she's like, she's absolutely roasting this man.
I walk through the door with you.
He gets her the scarf.
The scarf.
The scarf from All Too Well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
He
but
is Jake Gyllenhaal.
Peter is Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
My new
It's
fan
confirmed.
cast, guys.
And so, you know, they're all having a good time. They're all laughing, whatever, having a good break from school. Everything's great. And then a girl comes up to them.
Whoa.
Her name's Eleanor Sharp. She's in their year. She's a Ravenclaw.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Like
Remus,
Brad?
Yes, actually. She's in the same year as Brad. So, Remus is here, Sirius is here, and, like, this is the end of the table.
Mm-hmm.
So she comes up to the end of the table and sits
Whoa.
right next to Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, starts flirting with him.
Whoa.
With...
That was me being Eleanor.
Yeah, so but she starts, like, literally, why? Why did I invite you to? Okay. Yep, that's it. But no. So she starts, like, actively flirting with this man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, basic, like, pickup lines, like, everything. And Sirius is like, haha, good one, Eleanor.
That was a knee slapper.
He's like, that's pretty cool. And so, but then James is sitting across the table, and James, like, gets weirdly into this. He's like, oh my gosh, Eleanor, you're so funny. Now talk to Sirius more. Sirius, isn't Eleanor great? And Sirius is like, literally, what is happening here? Like, what is going on? And Remus is, like, angry Remus at this moment in time. He's like, that's my boyfriend. Like, what is happening here? So he's sitting there just in absolute
Possessive
silence.
Remus?
Yes, possessive Remus. We're getting to that today.
Okay.
But he just, like, completely shuts down because he's like, what is this man? Like, what is he doing? And who is she? And why? And so, anyway. And then Lily notices a little bit, but then, she gets distracted because who comes up next to her but Mr. Bradley here? And so now she's, like, blushing and stuff because she hasn't told the whole group about Bradley. And so, like, everybody is like, okay, what's happening with this? And there's just a lot happening here. But eventually Eleanor is like, you know, Sirius, it's really loud in here and I need to finish up some shopping. So do you want to come with me? And Sirius is like, no. And James is like, yes, you should go with her. And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, Sirius, weren't you just complaining how loud it was in here? Sirius had not been just complaining about how loud it is in here. And he's like, but I'm just so happy to be here with my dearest friends. So, like, how could I possibly leave? And James is like, you know what, Eleanor, I think I left my gift in the last shop. And so I think if Sirius just really wants to stay with his friends, I could go with you guys for a second and we could all go. And, like, it's, like, weird. And Sirius is like, what is happening here? And Remus is just, like, sitting there in silence. And so then finally they agreed to, like, stand up and leave. And then Remus stands up abruptly as well. And
Like
they
the
all
awkward,
just
like...
kind of look at him. And he's like, and they're like, Remus, are you good? And he's like, yeah, it's loud in here. She's right. I gotta go with you guys, right? And they're all just like, okay. And Eleanor's like, what the heck is happening? And, like, everything's just weird. So anyway, so the four of them leave. And she just keeps on talking to Sirius and stuff, and Remus just keeps on butting into the conversation. Like, she'll be like, so, like, what, yeah, it's been really cold recently, and Remus is like, oh, you know, it's colder where I'm from. You know, didn't you notice, like, the frickin', yeah, I make snow angels. And just, like, saying the weirdest things, and James is like...
sleep in an igloo.
James,
Leave me alone.
and James is, like, trying to shut Remus up, and then Sirius just doesn't know what to do, and, like, there's so much stuff happening. But anyway, so then they go into the shop, and James has to physically pull Remus away from Eleanor and Sirius, and he just pulls him out of the store, but they can, like, still see them through a window. And he's like, Remus, can't you tell I'm trying to set these people up?
Remus, this isn't you. This isn't you. Look at me. Look at me.
He's like, I'm obviously trying to set them up. And Remus is like, yeah, I can tell, but Sirius clearly has no interest in her. And he's like, you don't know that. And he's like, yes, I do. Look at them. And then they look through the mirror, and at that moment, Eleanor, who is actually a pretty funny person, cracks a good joke, and Sirius is, like, laughing.
Your mom joke.
It was probably a your mom joke.
Let's
Let's be
go.
real here. And so then he's laughing, and then Remus looks through the mirror, and it's just, like, dramatic, like, oh no. And then he gets
like
all
a slow motion,
upset.
like,
yeah. Like, no, not him laughing at another girl's joke.
It's like one of those really cheesy, like, Sirius laughing and, like, his
Like the hair.
There's a sparkle on his
flying
tooth.
back. Yeah, that's definitely what it is. And so it's just so, but yeah, so Remus is just, like, speechless, and this is when we begin lots of self-deprecating, really, really upset for no reason Remus, and this is exactly where it starts. And so now he's just sad.
No way.
Because, yes. So now he's just sad, and James is like, exactly, they're a good match, okay?
Remus, take a chill pill.
Yeah, so he's like, let's just go back to the 3 broomsticks. And Remus doesn't really have an excuse because he's like, well, now he's laughing and he's having a good time without me, and I don't even know what to do anymore. So he just follows James, and James is like, I've been worried. He's dated, like, 14 girls last school year, and it's December now, and he just hasn't been interested in anybody. Like, what the heck?
Are you calling Sirius a hoe, Remus?
Yes. Not Remus, James.
Oh, James,
sorry.
yeah,
James is saying that. And then Remus is like, well, I happen to know that he just is, like, hung up on someone, and that's why he hasn't been dating anybody, and so, like, and I know it's not her. Being extra casual, don't worry. James is like, yeah, I know. And Remus is like, you know? And he's like, Marlene! He has to get over Marlene. She's just not interested in him, and I've seen him. He's been super interested in her. This is a trope that James keeps on thinking that Sirius likes Marlene.
Okay.
And they just don't like each other. But no, so he's like, yeah, he has to get over her. I've talked to Marlene. Marlene's just not interested in him. So, like, and this is how we're going to do it. Like, Eleanor's great. She's really funny, attractive, exactly what he needs to, like, get back into dating. And James is like, Remus is like, okay, but he doesn't want to date anyone at the moment. And he's like, oh my gosh, that's BS. Of course he wants to date somebody and snog a girl at Christmas. Like, he'd be mental not to. And Remus is like, but what about me, though? And so now
what about us?
What about all the things that something? Guys, I'm good at this, I promise. So anyway, so Remus is just like, just sad girl mode,
Sad girl autumn.
So
like Taylor Swift?
But it's sad girl winter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I know, yeah.
Sad girl Evermore?
I don't know.
Scary.
Anyway, so they go back into the 3 broomsticks, and James freezes. And he's like, is that Bradley Gallagher sitting with Lilly? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, are they dating? And he's like, I don't know, like, probably now by the looks of it, but I don't think they were. And they're, like, sitting together and, like, like cuddling and, like, stuff, and, like, but yeah, so James is like, what is this? But then he, like, walks back to the table and is, like, so confident and stuff, and, like, cracking jokes and stuff, but he's definitely, like, flashing Bradley, like, looks of pure hatred because, he kind of has a thing for Lilly. And it's just, like, a whole thing. And so, like, for the rest of this, lunch, he's just looking at him, and Remus is sad, and everything's happening. There's a lot of drama here, ladies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then, next little scene, that goes on for a bit. But then Bradley and Lilly leave together. They leave the whole group, and James is like, what the heck? But James isn't the only one who's mad. Marlene is also pretty mad. She's like, okay, what was that? What is happening here? And he's like, I don't know, they just came in and started doing that. And she's like, did she tell anybody anything? Like, what the heck is happening here? And everybody's like, not me, like, she didn't tell me, everything like that. And then it gets to Remus, and he's like, okay, I knew, but, like, not a lot. And they're all like, Remus! You didn't tell us about Lily and Bradley? And he's like, it's her business. She can snog whoever she wants. And James is like, they kissed? And Marlene's like, yeah, James, they were, like, cuddling the whole time. Did you really think
sounding like a hypocrite right now?
But James is like, but you really think that they kissed? And they're like, yeah, James, that's what happens when people like each other. He's like, oh gosh, no. The man is losing his mind. Remus is like, okay, hang on, guys. Why do we care? James, I thought you were finally over Lily. Don't you, like, hate her or something now? Like, what was going on with that? And he's like, okay, you're gross. I don't like her. Like, I don't know what you're saying. I literally just hate Bradley. He's literally the worst. And Marlene's like, I agree, he sucks. And Remus is like, okay, shoot, what's wrong with him? Because, like, last episode he kind of found out about Bradley and was like, thumbs up to that. But he's like, wait, shoot, is he not a good person? And they're like, he's just a total a-hole and just likes to cheat at Quidditch. And he's like, okay, is that, like, what proof? And they're like, okay, yeah, and Marlene is like, yeah, in my 5th year, so it would have been his 4th year because she's a year older than them. She's like, in my 5th year, he apparently wrote about all of these girls in the year above me and rated them all based on looks. And he rated them all poorly. And Remus is like, okay, so that's pretty serious. How do we know that happened? Like, what happened? She's
serious,
like, okay.
like, Sirius Black?
Oh my gosh, literally stop. But he's like, that seems like a pretty, that seems a little not good. So how do we know that that's a thing? And she's like, she's like, well, we're not entirely sure. We're just, like, pretty sure. And he's like, no, we're not doing this game. So do we know that he did that? And she's like, well, it was, like, his friends and stuff were involved and stuff. And he's like, okay, and also, that was 2 years ago. He was 14. So, and they're both like, yeah. And so Remus is like, okay, what if he's, like, a wonderful person now? Which he probably is because Lily likes him.
Yeah.
I
was like, Lily won't put up with
Yeah, Lily's not putting up with any crap. So, like, it was a while ago. We can take it into account. But something to keep an eye on. And, he's like, yeah, we have to keep an eye on it. But we don't have any recent proof he's an awful human, right? And they're like, no. But Peter's like, listen, I've talked to him. He does seem like a bit of an a-hole. And Remus is like, Peter, we are all a-holes here. I don't think it counts. And he's like, that's low-key facts, though. So anyway, that's kind of happening. So they end up staying at Hogwarts at Hogsmeade for a while, like, past sundown. And, like, Remus is trying to find Sirius, but, like, can't find Sirius, and it's kind of stressing him out. He's like, where are they? And everything, but it's, he's like, they got other things to worry about. Because eventually, Lily and Bradley come back to the group. And James is not too impressed with Bradley. He's, like, still sitting there. He's like, I don't like this man. One time he cheated at Quidditch, and I have
never cheated at Quidditch.
Ever. I would never do that. He probably has. But I would never do that, guys. And so then, he's like, but then freaking Severus Snape, gross man, we don't like him.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, good. Yeah. Comes up and he's like, Lily.
Oh, no.
Can we talk for a second?
Snape likes Lily?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're like the same age, just so that you know.
He, like, wrote...
This is, like, in
Snape,
the
like, stalked
Yeah,
her
I got that.
Okay.
Snape is just so old. And, like, creepy.
Yeah.
It's
but,
weird
like,
to imagine him young.
Yeah, so this is young
Okay.
Snape.
Yeah.
So young Snape is like, Lily, can I talk to you for a second? And without missing a beat, Bradley turns around. It was like, no, actually you can't. Actually, we're talking right now, so you can't talk to her. And he just stares this man down and just looks at him until Snape is like, ugh, and just walks away.
Disgust.
And then Remus looks over at James and he's like, so what about Bradley being, like, a horrible person? And James is like, okay, hold on a second. Hold on. When I do that to Snape, Lily gets all mad. And she's like, how come he's allowed? And Remus is like, because she likes him, James. She likes Bradley. And James is like, no, she can't like Bradley. It's like trying to, like, pull himself together, but it's bad. But anyway, so yeah. Eventually, Bradley goes back to his friends. Marlene and the girls go back up to the castle, and it's like just Lily, James, Remus, and Peter chilling. Chilling, and they're still like kind of looking for Sirius, but they were just like doing late shopping or whatever, and so now they're gonna head back up. And Remus is like talking to Lily, and he's like, "So, have we reached like boyfriend status on Bradley?" And she's like, "What? No, like, what do you, no, we're going out, we're talking, dating maybe, but he's not my boyfriend." And Remus is like, "Okay, that's fair enough, like, I don't really care." She's like, "I don't rush into these things, unlike you guys." And Remus is like, "When have I ever rushed into anything romantic? You can't get at me. I'm like just chilling here." And then James is like, and she's like, "All right." She's like, "Not you, but like everybody else has." And James is like, "Yes, proudly." And by the looks of it, Sirius is currently rushing into something romantic as we speak. And then Remus is like, "No, I can't." But Lily's like, "Okay, what?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I set up Sirius and this girl, and we haven't seen them since, so it's probably gonna be so exciting, and like I got him a girlfriend, and like I'm so happy, and like Sirius is gonna be so happy." And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, seriously, for the past few months, like, anytime you mention, like, dating or, like, a girl around him, he just, like, gets miserable, He just doesn't want to talk about it, totally unlike him. Who knows why? He's lost all of his confidence, somebody just needs to get him back into it." And Lily, who knows about this whole thing, is like, "Actually, I think Sirius has been fine. I think he's been fine the past couple of months. I think he's been great, actually, And he's like, "Well, you've only been friends with him for the past couple of months. I know him. I know that
he's my best friend.
He needs something. He would never hide anything from me." And Remus is like miserable, and he's like, at this point, he's convinced himself that Sirius never even liked him, and that he's like happier with the girl and everything. Like, we got sad man Remus at this moment in time. And Lily looks at him, and he's like, "Okay, I'm sure Sirius is like miserable right now. Like, calm down." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And she's like, "I'm so totally sure of it." So he feels a little bit better. They're walking back up to the castle. Lily's right, They probably are just gonna like laugh about it at the end of the night, and it's gonna be great. Everything's gonna be fine. It was serious. Why is he so upset anyway? And then he walks into the room. You just read it. You're not supposed to read it. Then he walks into the common room, and he sees Sirius and Eleanor kissing under the mistletoe.
No!
Yup. His worst fears are confirmed, and so without thinking, without like even realizing, like without processing, he just immediately turns around and just leaves. So
you could have stopped this. I am not happy with you.
Listen, I'm sorry I wrote it, but like, my gosh, I told you there would
Elizabeth actually writing a plot? No.
Guys, okay, here's y'all, I told you there would be drama.
You did.
I'm delivering on the drama, okay?
But that's sad. I didn't think you were taking it to this level.
Listen, hold up. If Remus hadn't left, this is what he would have seen.
Okay.
Lily immediately goes after him.
Mm-hmm.
James is like so happy. He's like, "They did it! They did it!" Until Sirius like pushes Eleanor off of him and is like, "What the heck was that?"
Good.
And just like starts like kind of going off on her. And then she gets offended because she's like, "You sent me all these signals." And he's like, "What signals did I send you? I was just being nice because you are way too interested in me." And then she turns to James and is like, "You told me that he was interested in me and that he would like love this date and stuff, James." And James is like, "Oh shoot." And so like everybody's yelling at James and at each other, and then Sirius is getting mad at James because he's like, "I never told you that I wanted to go out with anybody." And James is like, "But she's your type." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, everything's going downhill." Everybody's yelling at each other. Then Bonnie Jordan, who's a prefect, is like, "Yo, why is she even in the common room?" She's like, "This is our common room. She's not in our house. You need to leave." And then she like takes Eleanor out, and like everybody's yelling, and then like other people are in the common room, and Peter's like, "Sirius and James, why don't you guys like go upstairs and not like, be in here arguing?" Eleanor's crying as she's leaving. This whole freaking mess is happening here. Okay, so then upstairs in the in their dorm, Peter's downstairs trying to like be like, "Haha, it's good, guys." All the other people down there, he's like, "Yep, just chilling.
Keep
So
on with
anyway,
your
so they go upstairs, and James is like, what the HE double hockey sticks here, man? What was wrong with her? Why did you yell at her? And he's like, because I didn't want to kiss her. I'm not interested in kissing her. Why the heck would you think I wanted to date her anyway? Like, what has come over you? And he's like, what's come over me? What about you? You're so bloody secretive. You're not talking to me about important things anymore. You're always disappearing. Everything's miserable. And he's like, you're being insane. And he's like, and you're still hung up on Marlene, aren't you?
He's so dramatic.
James is very dramatic, and Sirius is like loses his mind. He's like, why do you think I like Marlene? And then he's like, because you told me you liked Marlene, which is true. And he's like, well, I lied. Are you happy? And James is like, what? He's like, since when do we lie to each other? And then Sirius is like, oh shoot, like I feel bad now. And he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And he's like, then why did you do it? Why did you lie? And Sirius doesn't answer, and James is like, listen, I've noticed something's been wrong with you. Something's been off. I'm not stupid. He is kind of stupid. He hasn't noticed that his two best friends are dating.
Yeah.
But like, you know, he's like, I'm not stupid. I just thought I didn't think it was just Marlene. I just thought that it might, you know, help. I just wanted to help you. And Sirius is like, okay, next time I want a girl to solve a problem, James, I'll let you know. And they're like, oh. It's quiet for a little bit, and then James is like, sorry though, and he's like, but there is a problem, isn't there?
Therapist James comes out.
And he's like, that's why you've been off. And Sirius is like, no, there's not a problem. And he's like, but there is. There's something you're not telling me. And he's like, it's not a problem though. And so now he's like, there's something you're not telling me.
It's your fault.
No.
You haven't realized.
Oh my gosh. And then he's like, Sirius, you know you can tell me anything. Right? And he's like, no, I can't. He's like, yes, you can. And he's like, no, it's not my thing to tell. I don't get to just talk about this. I'm not allowed to tell you everything just because I want to, okay? Sometimes it's not up to me. And it all just spills out. And in that moment, it's not until this moment.
Baby, stop reading the computer.
And it's not until this moment that he's like, yo, I actually want to tell James, and maybe I don't want to keep this a secret anymore and stuff. And but he can't like just tell him because it's like a two-person thing, you know. It's both of them have to agree. And so he also, like, on one hand he's like, but I do want to keep it a secret because like then things are much less complicated and stuff. But then also this is kind of complicated. So like, what is happening? Anyway, so then but then James is like, oh, you can't tell me. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, but Remus knows, though, right? And he's like, oh, shoot, I don't know, man. Because, you know, obviously they've been talking a lot and stuff, and, you know, he's picked up on that. He's like, and so at this moment, then it's like panic comes in, and he's like, actually, maybe no. Maybe I don't want James to know, because that just scares me, that, like, he knows that Remus is involved with something. And then even though he had just been like, I'm not going to lie to James anymore, he lies to James again. And he's like, no, Remus doesn't know anything. And James is like, suspicious, but he's like, okay, I'm sorry. And they end up like making up like they always do. And they're fine. They're besties, you know, whatever. But yeah, we needed the drama. We need the drama. I like this. Do you guys enjoy the drama?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, good. Okay. But don't worry, we still gotta deal with Remus.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Remus's.
So, Lilly is, like, not okay. So, like, Lilly tries to follow Remus. She's like, Remus, it's okay. I'm so sorry. Like, it's gonna be okay. I'll help you out. And he, like, turns around and, like, explodes at her because he's not in the mood. And he's like, it's not gonna be okay, Lilly. Nothing's okay anymore. He's like, you need to leave me, like, the frick alone. And so she does. She goes back to the common room. She sees Peter. And she's like, okay, what happened after I left? And Peter's like, I don't know, man. Like, Sirius apparently did not want to kiss Eleanor or something. I don't know. He pushed her away. People got mad. Everybody was yelling. I have no idea what's happening. James and Sirius are upstairs arguing. Like, I don't know what's going on. And she's like, so fun. Love that for you. And she's like, do you have the map at the moment? Which is, it like tracks everybody around the couch. Okay, you know that.
Yeah, I know that part.
Okay. So she's like, yo, do you got the map? And he's like, yeah, I actually happen to have it on me at the moment. And she's like, sweet. And then she just leaves. And he's like, cool, guess I'll just sit here chilling in the common room alone and let you guys deal with everything, which is like, poor Peter, but like that's what happens a lot this year, so anyway. But then, so Lily's going around the castle, she's looking on the map trying to find this man with no luck, she doesn't know all the passages and stuff like that. But then finally she finds him in the One-Eyed Witch passageway, which has like a spell to get into it. And it's not listed on the map yet, like they haven't added the stuff that like says how to get into stuff, and so she's like, I don't know what to do. So basically she sits outside and she's like, Remus
Remus was going to Honeydukes to eat out his feelings.
He's not going to Honeydukes to eat out his feelings. He's just crying in the... I know, but he's just crying in the passageway. Okay. But anyway, so he's just in there, and she's like, Remus, like, it's gonna be okay. He's like, it's not okay. And it takes, like, forever, and then he finally, like, lets her in. And he's just devastated. He's obviously been crying, and, like, as soon as she goes in, she hugs him, and then he starts crying again, and it's just... Yeah, he basically thinks that, Sirius just ditched him for a girl, and he's like, of course he did. Did you hear James? He's miserable with me, and I'm not interesting, I'm not attractive, I'm just somebody that he kisses. That's it. It's like, it's dramatic, and Lily's like, okay, listen, I know that looked really bad, but, like, it might not be all over. Peter told me that, like, he was angry with her, and, like, from the sounds of it, she kissed him, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm sure he came to his senses eventually, but he was laughing with her, Lily, he was having a good time, he hates me forever. Like, Remus is in full self-pity mode. No one can pull him out of this. And Lily isn't, like, 1,000% sure that, like, Sirius is chill, because, like, she just heard what, like, Peter said and stuff. She's pretty mad at him, too. But yeah, I don't know. She agrees. He's like, he probably should have been more clear with James that he really didn't want to go on a date with this girl in the first place. It's a rough time. Things are rough. Anyway, but it gets worse. Don't worry. So that night at dinner, Remus isn't there. Sirius whispers to Lily, and he's like, did he see, like, what happened earlier? And she's like, and just the kissing. And then he immediately left. And Sirius is like, frick, okay. And Lily's like, do you want advice? And Sirius is like, no, because Sirius never wants advice, and he likes to make things difficult for himself, apparently. So Sirius takes the map and tries to find Remus, but surprise, surprise, Remus does not want to see Sirius at all, and gets all mad, and, like, they yell at each other, and, like, Sirius is trying to explain himself, and Remus isn't having any of it, so he puts a silencing charm on Sirius, and is like, you talk too much anyway, and it's, like, very dramatic, and then he steals the map from him and runs away. It's very dramatic, and then later, Sirius sees him again, but Remus, he's, they have the 4-poster beds or whatever, and he tries to, like, go in and, like, say something to him, but he's, like, put a charm preventing it, and everything. And then the next morning, Remus is
awkward knock on the door. Hey, Remus.
Hey, sweetie. Just want to let you know, I actually do still like you. I promise. No, but then the next morning, Remus has a note for Sirius on his bed, and it says, if you have, like, an ounce of respect for me, you're not going to speak to me all day, and you're going to pretend like everything is normal. I'm not going to have anybody else dragged into this. And Sirius is like, fine. And so he doesn't, so, like, they pretend everything's normal, and, like, everything kind of goes on, and, like, it's actually so good that Lily's like, did you guys, like, work it out? And Sirius shows her the note, and she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, do you want me to talk to him for you? And he's like, no, I don't need anybody's help.
I have respect for this man.
He's like, I can deal with this myself. It's my boyfriend, not yours. And she's like, Sirius, I'm literally just trying to help. And he's like, but it's my thing. They're very stubborn. Things don't... Sirius doesn't like help. That's the thing. I said, anyway, moral of the story is they're really bad at communicating when they're both stubborn. Which is true. Which is very true. So, it takes a while. It takes, like, 5 entire days for them to speak to each other again. And they're both, like, starting to wonder if it's, like, oh my gosh, like, are we broken up? Like, is that what this is? And Sirius keeps on trying to talk to Remus, and Remus isn't having any of it. He's like, you kiss someone else, story over, like, end of it. But they're becoming less, like, casual and less good at hiding everything. And James and Peter are starting to notice that they're, like, not speaking to each other. They won't work together. They're both salty. They're both, like, talking bad about each other. And they're like, what the heck? Like, how did this happen? But thank goodness neither of them catch, like, when it started. But yeah, so anyway, it's Thursday, 5 days after the incident. Sirius and Peter are playing chess in a dorm while Lily is, like, watching. And Remus and James are in the library, which is, like, typical now that they're, like, both spread out. And James is complaining to Remus about Lily and Bradley. just Bradley. He's like, I still think he's a jerk, but he's so nice now. And so now I seem like a jerk because I'm calling him a jerk. And, like, how is that fair? And Remus is like, hear me out, man. Hear me out. What if he has changed since 4th year? What? You ever think about that? Whoa. And he's like, you don't change for that. Art. Plus, he still cheats at Quidditch, man. I'm never getting over that. But anyway, eventually James is like, okay, subject change. Are you and Sirius, like, fighting? And Remus is like, what? Like, why? We're fine. Like, why wouldn't we be fine? Like, I don't know. And James is like, I don't know, man. He seems just, like, a bit tense. You guys seem, like, a bit off, you know, whenever you're around each other, which is an understatement, but, like, he's like, well, if it is, then it's something on his end because I've done nothing wrong, you know, I'm perfect. And James is like, okay, and then James just keeps on rambling on and on like James does, and he's like, well, if he's mad at you, then that confuses me because I expected him to be pissed off at me right now, but I think we're okay, so, like, I don't know why he's, like, mad at you. And Remus is like, well, why would he be mad at you? And he's like, well, because of the whole Eleanor situation, you know. And Remus is like, I think he was quite pleased with his date based off of the kiss. And James is like, no, did you see him? They were not pleased. That was not good. And Remus is like, wait a second, hold up, maybe I should backtrack. He's like, well, I just, you know, he's like, I didn't see them, you know, I had to go get, like, I don't know, a book from the library, so I don't know, man. He's like, well, let me tell you, they were not happy. They were happy until he started yelling at her, and then, you know, but I had told her that he would be so interested in her, right? Like, she's totally his type. But then he started yelling at her and for kissing him and that he wasn't interested. And she started yelling at him because she thought that he had seemed interested. And they both started yelling at me because I had set the whole thing up. And Remus is like, wait, what? Like, hold on a second. And he's like, and Remus is like, okay, but then what happened? And he's like, well, then me and Sirius had a fight. And, like, he was really mad at me. But I was just trying to help, right? Like, he had been so hung up on Marlene. but apparently he wasn't or something, and then he got all mad at me, and he yelled, and it was bad and stuff, and he's like, he told you he wasn't interested in Marlene? Because that's been, like, their cover-up for, like, this whole thing. He's like, yeah. He's like, oh. He's like, what? And he's like, nothing, I just thought he liked Marlene too, you know? He's like, well, apparently he lied to me about that. Who knows why? But basically, he just told me to get out of his dating life until further notice. He said that he can deal with it himself, which is, like, not true. Like, we know Sirius. James really thinks that he's the only person who can solve anybody's dating life. And it's my favorite trope.
Which is so funny.
Because he has no idea. He has no idea about Lily. No. And he can't figure out that his best friends are dating each other.
They are so clearly gay.
I know.
Like, James has 0 gaydar.
0.
It's so funny.
0 out of 10. But James,
so... To the negatives.
Yes, but then James starts explaining, like, other things, and Remus is like, wait, no, but, like, did he, like, tell you anything, like, about, like, the date at all? Like, he really wasn't happy? Like, he didn't like it? He's like, no, we talked about that later, too. Apparently, he, like, tried to tell her a bunch of times that he didn't want to, but then he didn't want to make her feel bad, and then it fell apart, and it just kept on getting worse, and, like, he tried to make it back to us all this time, but she was very persistent because, again, I told her that he likes girls with confidence and just to go for it and stuff, and then, like, you know, all this stuff. But, you know, he usually likes these very confident women. And then all of a sudden he doesn't, and it's like my fault, and I feel horrible, and everything. And Remus is like, okay, I need to go. So Remus goes up to the dorms, and he sees Sirius, and he's like, so I need to talk to you. And Lily's like, whoa, Peter, let's play a game of chess, just us, downstairs in the common room right now. And he's like, me and Sirius aren't done with our game. She's like, right now. Let's go right now. Oh, and so they do, and they're finally alone. And Remus is like, okay, so I just talked to James. And Sirius is like, you did? And he's like, yes. And I feel like I need to apologize for being an a-hole to you all week. And Sirius is like, thank goodness, man. And he's like, and he gives him a hug, and he's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, it just happened, I didn't know what to do. And Remus is like, okay, but like really let's talk about this, because I really don't understand some of this, like why didn't you leave her earlier in the day? And Sirius is like, well, I felt bad. And he's like, well, that led her on, and like I don't like that you did that and stuff. And then but yeah, so we're just gonna sum this up because this episode is already kind of long. But you know, he finally talked to her. But they finally actually talk about their relationship, which they haven't actually done, because they've definitely been in like the honeymoon, like dating everything's perfect stage. But he's like, okay, I know we're trying to make everything seem normal, and Remus is like, but when you like joke flirt with girls, I'm not down with that. I don't like that. Yeah. I hate that. That's actually really not okay with me. And then it sets up situations like this, which are really not okay. And Sirius is like, okay, done. I didn't know that. Like, I won't do that anymore. End of story. I
don't like Sirius straight baiting.
You really do be straight baiting other girls. No, but I mean, that's just what he does. He's just a very flirtatious person. Yeah. Flirtatious person, but, you know, he's dating somebody right now. Anyway. And so he's like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. Not a big deal. And then Sirius is like, okay, but like on my end, like we need to talk about not telling people anymore, because I thought that I was okay with it, and I feel like I am for most people, but I can't lie to James anymore. He's my bestie. Like, this is going to make me cry. But he's like, but at the same time, I also don't know if I'm entirely ready yet, because like it just kind of freaks me out. Basically, I'm really confused and conflicted, and I don't know what to do. And Remus is like, okay, dang, we got to think about that, because like I don't like lying to James either. But, like, I'm really uncomfy with telling people yet. Because this is my own universe's thing. But I think it's a misconception at this moment in time that werewolves don't feel love.
Yeah.
And Remus is a werewolf. Did you know? I knew that. Yes, you knew that. Yeah. And so he's like, you know, I've never had to talk about any of this stuff. I've never had to, like, do any of this, because everybody just assumes that I don't feel love, and so like now I have to deal with it, and it's like, I don't know, man, it's very uncomfortable for me. I don't know how I feel about that. So they end up talking for a while, but eventually everything ends up great. But they've officially exited this honeymoon stage, and now they have to figure out how it's actually gonna work.
How long have they been dating?
A couple months.
Okay.
But like it's been secret, so it's like taken longer for them to progress, I feel like. But yeah, so anyway, so they end up finally just like being able to talk about stuff like how they really don't know how to feel about Bradley, because they're like, okay, do we like Bradley? Do we hate Bradley? What's happening here? We don't know how we feel about this. And that's pretty much the end of the episode. Woo! They finally make up. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Yay! But it was very drama.
Very drama.
But it was
fun.
It
was very drama. Okay. Yeah, I'm curious to know how you like actually felt. Like were you like, was this like the weirdest thing? And like
I didn't understand a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it was entertaining.
Okay, good.
And I will go back and watch the other episode of the podcast.
Oh, wow.
Because, like, it's
really?
entertaining. Yeah,
okay.
I want to learn more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm impressed, because most people, like, that are on here, they're, like, so excited they want to be on here. And then, like, after they're on, they're like, wait, what? This was just confusing and stuff.
And so it was confusing, but it was good.
But, like, okay, but I'm glad that you still enjoyed it. And, of course, you actually knew what was going on, too. Was it a good episode?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good.
I also got sneak peeks of the next 2 episodes.
I also saw that.
I'm very excited for, but I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. All right. So.
So fun.
So how I never know how, like, with Emma, like, I know she has to pay attention to this and everything, but like I don't know. I never know when we have guests and stuff if it's like weird or if you are like vibing with it. But I think you guys are vibing with it.
It's fun.
Near the end, I was just like listening, like trying to soak in everything.
Aww.
At the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm gonna contribute. Then I got to the point where I was like,
I know, you both were very like, this is story time, and I want to listen. And I really appreciate it. And it was a very long episode. But yeah, do you guys have anything?
Bailey, I'm really surprised you didn't make a
say?
single your mom joke.
There was one point.
Okay, we have to let you have an opportunity to have to.
Yeah.
How are you just gonna not have a your mom joke? You know?
I kept looking for opportunities.
I was too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so we might have to do another episode with Bailey because she didn't make a your mom joke.
Yeah.
Which is just tragic.
It really is.
Might have to make another episode with Riley because Riley actually knows what's going on. And
I'm
yeah.
kind of a big deal. Just kidding.
Yeah, and Riley's my favorite person in the world, and she's kind of a big deal.
Get wrecked.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Bailey, that's a no word.
You're right.
Oh my gosh.
Darn
I'm
it.
not gonna censor that out. But yeah, okay, so I can sign us out. Alright. Thank you so much for listening. I was gonna say watching and listening like I usually do. But I'm pretty sure the camera just decided to not be our friend today, and I don't think we have literally any footage. So that's actually so much fun. Because no, it means that you guys get to send in bad selfies, because that's what I do when I don't have footage for YouTube. I like poorly Photoshop
I can send in the picture of Bailey with my your mom cake.
Oh my gosh, sounds so great.
Yeah.
I made it your mom cake.
So yeah, thank you so much for watching and listening. I'll still say that. And big shout out to Ren the Metamorphomages for the cover art and to Benji Wilson for the music, as always. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so we're gonna have to figure this out, girly. You gotta move. You gotta move. Here, do you wanna go on her?
Yeah, come on.
Here, over there. Come on. Over there. If you like do this and pretend that you're holding a treat, sometimes it works. Nope, she just thinks I have a treat. Girly. Okay. Come on. Oh goodness. Oh, okay. Here we go.
There we go.
There we are. Good
did it.
job. We did it.
Go on.
We're so cool.
Don't eat Jeffrey, girl. What the heck?
I'll put Jeffrey over it.